A blessed day to everyone. Welcome to our 7th wave of our webinar sponsored by Asia Pacific Association Educators Training Institute. It is an honor for me to be given an opportunity to speak for the first time in this reputable association. I am Dr. Loida Gito Melden, Master Teacher 1 from Santa Lucia High School Division of Pasig City. I finished Doctor of Education major in Educational Administration. I felt so fortunate to be trusted by Dr. Raquel D. Bernabe, the awesome CEO of APAETI. I am a proud affiliate of this Educators Association. So to our viewers, you are highly encouraged to like, subscribe, and share it to others. Our topic for today is Republic Act number 4670, the Magna Carta for Public School Teachers. So what is the etymology of Magna Carta? In Latin words, Magna Carta means Greater Charter. It was forced to sign under pressure by King John on June 15, 1215. The document was drawn up after his barons rebelled and forced him to agree to limitations on his power because he had demanded heavy taxes to fund his unsuccessful wars in France. It is a document or a law recognizing basic rights and privileges. An example of the Magna Carta was a document that gave the Englishman the right to have a trial before his property was taken due to unpaid back taxes. So, the Magna Carta is one of the most important documents in history. It is pretty amazing that hundreds of years on it is still intact. In the West, it is one of our earliest human rights declarations, which is part of the reason why it is still existing today, where the Magna Carta for teachers was adopted. Now, for teachers' efforts are being recognized in building the nation, an act was passed into law to look after the welfare of the public school teachers, to promote, improve, and secure the professional rights of teacher, known as Republic Act or RA 4670 or Magna Carta for Public School Teachers. The bill seeks to provide more benefits and greater protection to teachers all over the country by strengthening and amending certain provisions of the said Republic Act. Because teachers are indeed so valuable in our society, the responsibility in molding the values and character of young generations of the country cannot be overestimated. Aside from educating our children, teachers are likewise the most reliable and dedicated public servants. Do you agree? So, number 1, Declaration of Policy Coverage. Section 1, it is hereby declared to be the policy of this Act to promote and improve the social economic status, their living and working conditions of public school teachers, their terms of employment and career prospects in order that they may compare favorably with existing opportunities in other walks of life, attract and retain in the teaching profession with the proper qualifications. In consideration of the exigency and level of difficulty and the exercise of this provision, envisioned to provide programs for the promotion and improvement of the well-being and provide additional benefits and privileges that will make certain that public school teachers will receive what is due them. Teachers are not privy to this provision of this code, as this is not discussed with them. Section 2, titled or the definition, this act shall be known as the Magna Carta for Public School Teachers. So, the term teacher shall mean all persons engaged in classroom teaching, in any level of instruction on full-time basis except those in the professorial staff of state colleges and universities, including guidance counselors, school librarians, instructors, supervisors, administrative function, colleges and universities, industrial arts or vocational instructors, and all other persons performing supervisory or administrative functions in all schools, colleges and universities operated by the government or its political subdivisions, but shall not include school nurses, school physicians, school dentists, planning, property supply, financial, and human resource employees. Number 2, recruitment and career. Under Section 3, recruitment and qualifications in recruitment policy with respect to the selection and appointment of teachers shall be clearly defined by the Department of Education that, effective upon the approval of this Act, shall constitute the minimum educational qualifications for teacher applicants. Who are they? For teachers in the kindergarten and elementary grades, they must finish BE Ed or BSE Ed, bachelor's degree in elementary education. For the secondary schools, bachelor's degree in education or its equivalent with major and minor, or bachelor's degree in arts and science with at least 18 professional units in education. For example, if you want to teach and just finish any 4-year degree courses, you have to take at least 18 professional units in education. We call it CPE, which stands for Continuing Professional Education, that is required in order to remain certified or a licensed professional teacher. Letter C, for teachers of secondary, vocational, and 2 years technical courses, bachelor's degree in the field of specialization with at least 18 professional units in education. And letter D, for teachers of or courses on the collegiate level other than vocational, master's degree with a specific area of specialization. Meaning to say, in college level, they shall teach only their major field and or allied subjects. Section 4, probationary period. When recruitment takes place after adequate training and professional preparation in any school organized by the government, no probationary period preceding regular appointment shall be imposed if the teacher possesses the appropriate civil service eligibility. Provided, however, that where, due to the exigencies of the service, it is necessary to employ as teacher a person who possesses the minimum educational qualifications but lacks the appropriate civil service eligibility, such person shall be appointed on a provisional status and shall undergo a period of probation for 1 year, both secondary and collegiate level, from and after the date of his provisional appointment. And provided finally that the results of the examination shall be made public and every applicant shall be furnished with his score and rank in the said examinations. When vacancies occur in the teaching force of the school during the school year, a substitute or replacement with similar or higher qualifications shall be employed. But if you are a licensed teacher and you meet all the requirements, regular appointments should be imposed. Section number 5, Tenure of Office. Stability on employment and security of tenure shall be assured the teachers as provided under existing laws. For lack of necessary civil service eligibility shall be extended permanent appointment for the position he is holding after having rendered at least 10 years of continuous, efficient, and faithful service in such position. but provision of this section under the Loring-Legarda Bill, in the case of a probationary peer employee, his services may be terminated only for just cause for when he fails to qualify as permanent in accordance with reasonable standards stipulated in his appointment papers and after due process. So meaning to say, what is imposed as standard now is, in order to be permanent in the teaching position, you must be a licensed teacher already. Section 6, consent for transfer. For the exigencies of the service require the transfer of a teacher from one station to another, such transfer may be effected by the school superintendent, who shall previously notify the teacher concerned of the transfer and the reason or reasons therefor. If the teacher believes there is no justifications of the transfer, he may appeal his case. To whom? To the Director of Public Schools or the Director of Vocational Education, as the case may be. Pending his appeal and the decisions thereon, his transfer shall be held in abeyance, provided that no transfers whatever shall be made 3 months before any local or national election. Take note that the necessary transfer expenses of the teacher and his family shall be paid by the government if his transfer is finally approved. Now, if the teacher believes there is no justification for the transfer, he may appeal his case to the school principal first. If ignored, then go to the division superintendent. If it's still ignored in the division level, then go to the regional director of public schools, who shall render a decision within 1 week from receipt of the appeal. Pending his appeal and the decision thereon, his transfer shall be held still in abeyance. So, no teacher in public schools or state universities and colleges shall be transferred from one position to another in which he lacks qualification. Skills and experience, a teacher subject of a valid transfer shall not suffer any diminution in rank and in pay. Should he be transferred to a higher paying position, he shall be entitled to the salaries and benefits pertaining to that position. Section 7, Code of Professional Conduct for Teachers. Within 6 months from the approval of this Act, the Secretary of Education shall formulate and prepare a Code of Professional Conduct for public school teachers. A copy of the Code of Ethics shall be furnished each teacher, provided, however, that where this is not possible by reason of inadequate fiscal resources of the Department of Education, at least 3 copies of the same code shall be deposited with the office of the school principal or head teacher, where they may be accessible for the use of the teacher. So what is the importance of the Code of Ethics? It is important because it is clearly lays out the rules for behavior and provides the groundwork for a preemptive warning. It is designed to protect the rights of the students, a guide which facilitates the teacher to provide quality education and inculcate good values among the learners. It also helps the teachers to understand their profession as a teacher. Their role is not just become supreme and authoritarian in front of their students and colleagues. You know, this is a very long topic. Next time, probably this will be our single topic, the Code of Professional Conduct for Teachers. Moving on, Section 8, Safeguards in Disciplinary Procedure. Every teacher shall enjoy equitable safeguards at each stage of any disciplinary procedure and shall have the right to be informed in writing of the charges, the right to full access to the evidence in the case, the right to defend himself, to be defended by a representative of his choice and or by his organization. Adequate time being given to the teacher for the preparation of his defense, the right to appeal to clearly designated authorities. Shall have reasonable protection when a case is filed against him, with focus on the administrative discipline for public school teachers. This is to ensure that due process is observed. It is also made known in the principle of due process that before a party may be held bound by administrative proceedings, he must be notified and given an opportunity to defend his rights. In addition, filing a disciplinary case is a step-by-step process. It begins with a disciplining authority where a person files a complaint in writing and under oath. Fact-finding and preliminary investigation follow to determine if there is such a sufficient ground to engender a well-founded belief that an administrative offense has been committed and respondent is probably guilty. So, there comes the formal charge if the case is established. The respondent has the chance to answer the charges in form of writing. By then, formal investigation and pre-hearing conference come next along with succeeding procedures. So, as a teacher, may appeal to the designated authorities. In the Department of Education, a committee is composed of the corresponding school superintendent of the division, a representative of the local or, in its absence, any existing provincial or national teachers organization, or a supervisor of the division. The last two to be designated by the director of public schools. To defend himself, a teacher may choose his own representative in public or in private firms. It also mandated in the Republic Act that while the case is ongoing, the matter should remain private to make sure that the respondent's security of tenure is protected, since he is considered innocent until proven guilty. In short, no publicity shall be given to any disciplinary action being taken against a teacher during the pendency of his case. Section 9. Administrative charges. Administrative charges against a teacher shall be heard by the committee, initially by a committee composed of the corresponding school superintendent of the division, or a duly authorized representative who should at least have the rank of a division supervisor. Any existing provincial or national teachers organization, or the supervisor of the division. This means that due process must be implemented. No teachers can be dismissed from the position unless proven guilty. Provided, however, that where the school superintendent is the complainant or an interested party, all members of the committee shall be appointed by the Secretary of Education. Section 10. No discrimination. There shall be no discrimination whatsoever in entrance to the teaching profession, or during its exercise, or in the termination of services based on other than professional consideration. Discrimination, it is just because of his or her race, nationality, gender, family, status, age, disability, religion, or sexual orientation. Section 11. Married teachers. Whenever possible, the proper authorities shall take all steps enable married couples, both of whom are public school teachers, to be employed in the same locality. As a couple, it is easier to put and a significant amount of their time and energy into each other's work. They are able to help each other both at professional as well as personal level. Okay, Section 12, Academic Freedom. Teachers shall enjoy academic freedom in the discharge of their professional duties, particularly with regard to teaching and classroom methods, the freedom of teachers to teach, study, and pursue knowledge and research without unreasonable interference or restriction from law, institutional regulations, or public pressure. Academic freedom is the right of the teacher to teach the subject of her or his specialization according to her or his best lights, to hold in other subjects such ideas as he or she believes sincerely to be right, and to express his opinions on public questions in a manner that shall not interfere with his or her duties. So, the choice of teaching aids, textbooks, and other reference materials teachers in autonomous regions in the Philippines in the exercises of academic freedom may adopt, develop, and improve indigenous ways of learning, building on knowledge, skills, customs, and experience that people already know, and so far this may preserve and encourage cultural identity of the people in the region, propagate national consciousness, develop critical thinking, and promote the national interest of the Filipino people. Any system of evaluation or supervision shall be designed to encourage and assist teachers in the performance of their professional tasks. Any evaluation of the teacher's tasks shall be done effectively and with his knowledge. He has also the right to appeal against any assessment or evaluation which he feels is unjustified or without basis in law and in fact. So, for the hours of work and remuneration, what should be our teaching hours, or what should be the proper teaching loads should be given to teachers? Now, there are guidelines for the implementations of CSC Resolution Number 080096 on working hours for public school teachers. In view thereof, the following general guidelines shall be observed in all public and elementary secondary schools. That public school teachers shall render at most 6 hours of actual classroom teaching a day, except when undertaking academic activities that require presence outside the school premises or the educational trips. Another, school heads shall assign teaching loads to public school teachers to fully utilize the 6-hour actual classroom teaching. 6 teaching loads at 1 hour per teaching load with due regard for possible teaching intervals. Another, a teacher with less than 6 hours of actual classroom teaching shall render additional hours of appropriate teaching-related activities and duties enumerated in number 2 within the school premises to complete 6 hours. So, a teacher with 6 hours of actual classroom teaching is equivalent to teaching-related activities, and duties shall render the remaining 2 hours of work within or outside the school premises to comply with the 8-hour workday by engaging in the following teaching-related activities and duties. Okay, take note of this. What are those activities? 1. Preparation of lesson plans, action or work plans, instructional materials, evaluation or assessment tools or rubrics. Another is preparation and checking of exercises, recording of academic performance, results, and classroom accomplishments. Conduct of research, attendance to seminars, workshops, and similar programs, counseling, mentoring, coaching of students, including home visits. So, all advisorship and or special assignments for the entire school year combined shall be considered as one teaching load. Take note of that, huh? Another, consultations and conferences with parents, performance of coordination, activities and duly recognized community social services, participation in the maintenance and improvement of school facilities and equipments, and other activities identified in the specific guidelines. So I hope that we understood the additional activities which will be considered as our additional loads. Now for section 14, additional compensation. Okay, what should be the additional compensation that we must receive? Notwithstanding any provision of existing law to the contrary, co-curricula and out-of-school activities and any other activities outside of what is defined as normal duties of any teacher shall be paid an additional compensation of at least 25% of his regular remuneration after the teacher has completed at least 6 hours of actual classroom teaching a day. Teaching load be reduced if a faculty is occupied with research, administrative work. So who are those teachers who are having research work? Definitely the master teachers. So according to this provision, if you are having an additional work such as research, that should be additional, considered as teaching load. So our load should be reduced. So the total working hours spent on both teaching and administrative duties shall not exceed 15 hours per day. So definitely that's too much. So teacher salaries shall correspond to the criteria. They shall be properly graded so as to recognize the fact that teacher positions require higher qualifications and greater responsibility. That is for the criteria of salary section 25. Now, what is the salary scale? Section 16. Salary scales of teachers shall provide for a gradual progression from a minimum salary by means of regular increments, granted automatically after 3 years. So, if you have already rendered 3 years in the public school, automatically you have a step increment, provided that the efficiency rating of the teacher concerned is at least satisfactory. So that is the lowest. Okay, lowest rate. The progression from the minimum to the maximum of the salary scale shall not extend over a period of 10 years. Okay, so this is the salary increase table for public school teachers under Salary Standardization Law 2019, which is effective last January 1, 2020. Okay, for Teacher 1, salary grade is 11. It started with 220,754. For the second tranche, for this, that was 2019. Now, for this 2020, Teachers 1 are already receiving 22,316. For the second tranche, that will be next year, 23,877. Fourth tranche, third tranche rather, 25,439. And then for the fourth tranche, 27,000. For Teacher 2, salary grade is 12. So, last year is 22,938 only. Now, it increased to 24,495. Next year, it will be 26,052. The following year will be 27,608. And for the last tranche, it will be 29,165. For Teacher 3, salary grade is 13. So, this year, their salary is already 26,754. Next year, 28,276. For the third tranche, 29,798. And for the fourth tranche, it will be 31,320. So, not bad, right? Now, for Master Teacher 1, there's a big difference actually. Salary grade is 18. So, this year, it's already 42,159. Next year, it will be already 43,681. The third tranche, 45,203. And for the fourth tranche, 46,725. Now, for the Master Teacher 2, salary grade is 19, which is equivalent to Principal 2 salary. Okay. Principal 1 salary, I should say. For the first tranche is 46,791. Second tranche, 48,313. Third tranche is 49,835. And for the last tranche, it should be already 51,357. I hope that this tranche will not be affected due to this pandemic. Let us pray for that. So, the progression from the minimum to the maximum of the salary scale shall not extend over a period of 10 years. Okay, how about the head teacher? Okay, so for head teacher 1, salary grade is 11. Step 1 this year, 22,316. For 2021, it will be already 23,877. 2022, 25,439. And 2023, 27,000. For head teacher 2, they started this year 24,495. For the last tranche, it will be already 29,165. Head teacher 3, this year, they are receiving 26,754. And then for the last tranche, that will be 2023, they will be receiving already 31,320. For the head teacher 5, for the last tranche, they will be receiving 46,725. And for the head teacher 6, wherein their salary is equivalent to Master Teacher 2, the same. They started this year 46,791, and for the last tranche, they will be receiving already 51,357. Okay, section 17, equality in salary scales. The salary scales of teachers whose salaries are appropriated by a city, municipality, municipal district, or provincial government shall not be less than those provided for teachers of the national government. Meaning to say, those teachers who are not national item but funded by the school or by the city government or local government must be the same salary grade with the national item. If the teacher 1 salary they are receiving 20,000 in the national level, it must be the same with the municipal or funded by the school. So for those teachers who are required to work during semestral or summer vacations, they shall be paid an additional compensation on a pro rata basis. So if you are assigned to be a summer class teacher, then you must be receiving additional salary for that. For section 18, cost of living allowance. Cost of living allowance. Teacher salaries shall at the very least keep pace with the rise in the cost of living by the payment of a cost of living allowance, which shall automatically follow changes in the cost of living index. The Secretary of Education shall, in consultation with the proper government entities, recommend to Congress at least annually the appropriation of the necessary funds for the cost of living allowances of teachers employed by the national government. The determination of cost living allowances by the Secretary of Education shall, upon the approval of the President of the Philippines, of course, be binding on the city, municipal, or provincial government for the purposes of calculating the cost of living allowances of teachers under its employ. So in our division of Pasig City, our local city allowance is 3,000. So it depends upon the locality. Now for section 19, special hardship allowances. In areas which teachers are exposed to hardships as difficulty in commuting to the place of work or other hazards peculiar to the place of employment, as determined by the Secretary of Education, they shall be compensated special hardship allowances equivalent to at least 25% of their monthly salary. And this act is already amended. Now, what are those additional hardship allowances? Health and safety hazard allowances is that when teachers, upon rightful determination and verification, if they are exposed and experiencing hardship like health and safety hazards in commuting in their place of work, such as presence of armed conflict and prevalence of high crime rates, maybe in some part of Mindanao, presence of hazardous waste, chemical byproducts and toxic fumes from landfills, dump sites, factories, and polluted waterways and steros in commute route, or lack of absence of, therefore, of public transportation as a service in the area of assignment, transport in unpaved road, networks inaccessible to motor vehicles, and transport using boats due to the absence of connecting bridges or road networks over areas surrounded by bodies of water. The said teachers shall be compensated special hardship. Health and safety hazard allowances should be equivalent to at least 25% of their monthly salary. So I don't know if those teachers who are having this hardship know this special hardship allowances. So it is very important for us to know this. Okay, section 20, salaries to be paid in legal tender. Salaries of teachers shall be paid in legal tender of the Philippines or its equivalent in checks or treasury warrants. But in our generation, our salary is either in cash, usually, or can be cashed out through ATM. Section 21, Deductions Prohibited. Okay. So, no person shall make any deduction whatsoever from the salaries of teachers except under specific authority of law authorizing requiring such deductions, provided, however, that upon written authority executed by the teacher concerned. Okay, take note, number 1, lawful obligations, dues, and fees owing to teachers' savings and loan associations, Teachers Mutual Benefit Association or the Manila Teachers Cooperative authorized by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the Insurance Commission Incorporation, and Cooperative Development Authority or CDA. Lawful dues and fees owing to the Philippine Public Teachers Association, premium properly due on insurance policy shall be considered deductible. So those are the authorized deductions. Shall be the order of preference in deductions prospectively. Provided, however, that deductions under the salary scheme shall not be charged with compounded interests and penalties, as payments shall be coursed through salary deduction until fully paid. So take note, not compounded interests. So if you think that you're a victim of this, then we can write a letter to the proper authorities. So in cases where payment of obligations exceed the 12-month term, deductions for past due interest shall apply. Now, if it is personal lending, the lender doesn't have any rights to tell the HR in the school to deduct in his or her salary of the teacher. Okay, 4. Health measures and injury benefits. What are those benefits? Okay, for Section 22, medical examination and treatment, compulsory medical examination shall be provided free of charge for all teachers before they take up teaching and shall be repeated not less than once a year during the teacher's professional life. This is what we call the annual checkup for free. Where medical examinations show that medical treatment and or hospitalization is necessary, same shall be provided free by the government entity paying the salary of the teachers. Now, in regions where there is a scarcity of medical facilities, teachers may obtain elsewhere the necessary medical care with the right to be reimbursed for their traveling expenses by the government entity concerned in the first paragraph of this section. For Section 23, compensation for injuries, teachers shall still be protected against the consequences of employment injuries in accordance with existing laws. The effects of the physical and nervous strain on the teacher's health shall be recognized as a compensable occupational disease in accordance with existing laws. What are those diseases? For infectious disease or injuries suffered not only during teaching or non-campus activities, but also when he is engaged in school-related activities away from the school premises or off campus. The same shall be provided free by the government entity paying the salary of the teachers. Another for this, there are provisions, is the indefinite sick leave. An indefinite sick leave shall be granted to teachers and employees when the nature of the illness demands a long treatment that will exceed 1 year, but not more than 3 years. Teachers shall be allowed 2 months leave with pay in case of major operation. For another provisions for emergency leave, in case of calamities, what are those calamities? Like earthquake, like floods, where the faculty member becomes a victim, or in the event of death in his immediate family or any serious accident befalling him or her or his dependents, he shall be entitled to an emergency leave with pay of not exceeding 5 days per year. But in some schools, they credited it in the service credit if it's already exceeding 5 days. Okay, number 5, leave and retirement benefits. What are those leave and retirement benefits? In Section 24, we are entitled for study leave. In addition to the leave privileges now enjoyed by teachers in the public schools, they shall be leave leave granted in accordance with the schedule set by the Department of Education. So during the period of such leave, the teachers shall be entitled to at least 60% of their monthly salary. This is what we call sabbatical leave, if it is study leave. Entitled to study leave not exceeding 1 school year after 7 years of service, the teacher takes the regular study load and passes at least 75% of his courses. A study leave of more than 1 year may be permitted by the Secretary of Education but without compensation. Entitled at least 60% of their monthly salary. A study leave of more than 1 year may be permitted by the Secretary of Education but without compensation anymore. So for Section 25, indefinite leave, an indefinite sick leave or absence shall be granted to teachers when the nature of the illness demands a long treatment with instead of 1 year at least. Okay, Section 26, salary increase upon retirement. Public school teachers having fulfilled the age of and service requirements of the applicable retirement laws shall be given one range salary raise upon retirement, which shall be the basis of the computations of the lump sum of the retirement pay and the monthly benefits thereafter. So, provisions corresponding benefits thereafter, provided, however, that the retirement benefits shall not be less than 1 month's salary for every year of service. We call this as gratuity benefit. The teachers who choose to retire before reaching the compulsory retirement age of 60 and have rendered not less than 2 years service shall be granted gratuity benefit, which is equivalent to 1 month pay for every year of service. Conformably to the provision of the immediately preceding section, the computation of his gratuity benefit shall be based on the salary scale of 1 step higher than his position at the time he opted for optional retirement. Okay, number 6, teachers' organization. Section 27, freedom to organize. Public school teachers shall have the right to freely and without previous authorization both to establish and to join organizations of their choosing, whether local or national, to further and defend their interests. As we observe, we can still see teachers in the national TV voicing the rights of teachers to upgrade salaries and benefits promised by the government, provided no laws were violated. So if we want to join any rally voicing our rights as a teachers, let's make sure that no law should be violated. Now, in Section 29, National Teachers Organization, national teachers organizations shall be consulted in the formulation of national educational policies and professional standards, and in the formulation of national policies governing the school security of the teachers. So, any organizations formed by the teachers, like faculty organizations, the ACT or Alliance of Concerned Teachers, must be aligned and formulated through the national educational standards. Okay, administration and enforcement. Section 30, Rules and Regulations. The Secretary of Education shall formulate and prepare the necessary rules and regulations to implement the provisions of this Act. That means, in any implementation of the provisions in any particular section in this Act, necessary rules and regulations are always enclosed and strictly implemented and followed. Section 31, Budgetary Estimates. The Secretary of Education shall submit to Congress annually the necessary budgetary estimates to implement the provisions of the Act concerning the benefits herein granted to public school teachers under the employ of the national government. So, the national budget for teachers' benefits were planned yearly. Even if this time of pandemic, our benefits and bonuses were already budgeted, ready in its proper date to release. For Section 33, Repealing Clause. All acts or parts of acts, executive orders, and their implementing rules inconsistent with the provisions of this act are hereby repealed, amended, or modified accordingly. Some sections are amended and modified because it's no longer applicable to these demands, needs, and situations of the teachers. So, as I close, let me share to you a quote. When we lose the right to be different, we lose the right to be free. By Hughes. So, for our references, we have the Expanded Magna Carta for Public School Teachers Act by Mark Anthony Liego, or the Teaching and Education. I also have the Philippine Laws and Jurisprudence Data Bank, and the 16th Congress of the Republic of the Philippines, introduced by Senator Loren Legarda, and of course the DepEd Memorandum Number 291 Series of 2008, the guidelines for the implementation of CSC Resolution Number 080096 on working hours for public school teachers. I hope that you learned something today, my co-educators. That's all for today. Thank you, and to God be all the glory.